Are you a salon suite operator? Is it something that you've considered? Or maybe you are thinking of opening up your own facility, right, as an owner of multiple suites and renting them out. If any of these situations apply to you, this episode will resonate deeply. We're bringing on an expert when it comes to how to be successful as a salon suite operator and also as a salon suite facility owner or manager to make sure that we can get the absolute best success from this particular business model. Stay tuned for salon suite expertise coming right up. Welcome to the Salon Scoop, a podcast by Salon S.O.S. I'm your host, Scott Moon, the founder of Salon S.O.S., and I'm obsessed with helping salon professionals live their best life. In this show, we shop talk all things salon to bring you real-life stories, debates, entertainment, and inspiration to help you find happiness and success in this beautiful industry. If you work in the salon industry in any capacity, this podcast is open to you. So set down your scissors or rinse out that toner and let's get into it. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Salon Scoop podcast. We have got a fun episode today for you. We're going to be focusing on all things solopreneurs, suites that's been taking over our industry. I mean, really for the last, 10 to 15 years it started, but I'd say it really has accelerated since the whole pandemic. More and more individuals, right, have decided to kind of go off on their own and be, an independent worker, whether it be stylist, esthetician, nail tech, working out of, either a suite or their own space. And more salon owners have decided to sort of, close the doors of their traditional salons and move towards the suite business. And we want to explore this a little bit deeper in today's episode. We have with us an absolute expert when it comes to all things suites, independent operators, how to be successful in that particular business model. So I'm extremely happy to have the one and only Karen Kaminski with us today. Karen, thank you so much for joining us on the Salon Scoop.
Thank you so much for having me. I am thrilled to be here, and I hope I can give some insight to this whole industry and how it's evolving.
Yeah, well, that's what we're here for, is to bring value to our listeners. So why don't you help just give people a little bit of background about you and your journey through the beauty industry. Where did it start and what have you been involved with and where are you at today?
Gotcha. So I always start this story with, I wanted to go to beauty school. My dad was like, nope, you need to go to college first. And then you could always go back and, learn a trade. Because when I was in high school, like hairstylist was really like a trade or a hobby. It wasn't as glamorified as it is right now. And I went to college. I ended up going back, getting my nail tech license when I was kind of like in my 30s. And while I love the beauty industry, I didn't really like the service part of it. I love the business part. Like I love doing the book work and I love doing the marketing stuff. So I ended up getting approached by my OPI rep to go on the road and do sales. And when I met with the owners of this company, it was a Philadelphia-based company. It was Sabbath Beauty Supply. They wanted me to sell this oil in a little bottle, and it was Moroccan oil. And the guy, I remember, he showed up and he goes, here's your book, here's your cases. He's like, go out and sell it. And I love the product. I mean, everybody knows Moroccan oil and it's like a global brand now. And then it was when I ended up going with Cosmoprof. I was with Cosmoprof for about 11 years. And then I was with East Coast Beauty Supply out of Runnymede, New Jersey for another 3 years before I went full-time with my company. And like I started my Allure Salon Group back in 2016, and we opened our doors in 2017 in June of our first location. And, that's how I got to where I am right now.
And so how many locations do you now own facilities, right, that you're essentially an owner of many, many salon suites that you sort of have rented out. How many facilities do you have, and how many actual suite do you operate?
So we have 5 locations in the Pennsylvania market. So all the way from the Scranton Wilkes-Barre area down to the Plymouth Meeting, Philadelphia suburbs. And we have a total of 115 studios, or we like to call them members.
Nice. Okay, wonderful. And
Mhm.
then you also have a coaching consulting business for other owners that want to open up facilities, right?
Correct. So what had happened was when I started Allure Salon Group, I started getting a lot of people that were calling me randomly, asking me questions about, well, how did you do this? And how did you open that? And how do you do your paperwork? And it turned into a consulting business because I was pretty hands-on when we did our first location. Like I could talk to the construction part, and again, at the time I was by myself doing this. So I saw the struggles in my sales career, what beauty professionals went to when they try to open up a traditional multi-chair salon. So I kind of was able to give them a smaller space, but all the tools to help them get their business up and running pretty quickly, and then help them on the product side.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about the individuals, the solopreneurs that decide to go out on their own, rent a suite, right? Become a member in one of these facilities. What do you say is the number one reason why people are leaving traditional salons to kind of go out on their own these days?
So social media has a big influence on that because you don't get the walk-in clientele like you used to. And it wasn't, the salon was where you got your clients. And with social media and people posting their, work and everything, it's a little bit easier to get clients. And we see a lot of people for that reason. And because the beauty industry is so individualized when it comes to services, it's just, the next great step instead of going into a multi-chair salon or coming out of a multi-chair salon and wanting to be a solopreneur. This is the more cost efficient way to get started.
Yeah, there's lots of reasons out there. I'm going to take a quick sidebar just to highlight. We're not here to promote, one particular model or not. And I would actually highly encourage everyone listening, if you haven't already done so, one of our top episodes of all time on the Salon Scoop was an episode we did. It was a panel discussion. It's called Salon Structure Showdown. And we had a traditional, commission-based salon owner. We had a booth rental salon owner. We had a salon business consultant, and we had a salon suite operator talking about all the pros and cons of each of the different models. Really, really insightful episode where you can learn a lot of things that maybe you didn't realize about each of these different models and maybe find what suits you best. So I'd highly encourage everyone to go check that out afterwards, called the Salon Structure Showdown. You won't be disappointed with that one. All right, Karen, let's jump back in here. So we kind of understand why people are being drawn to salon suites. What do you see as the number one thing that these solopreneurs are typically focused on when they first get their new suite and are ready to get started?
Decorations. That's the first thing. Like they don't even think of the business aspects or what they need to set up. They're looking at the space. They're looking at it. Does it have a window? It's decorations first and foremost.
Yeah, which I mean makes sense. And when most people are, it's obviously, there's the creative element, and we want to have this sort of homey space that fits with our style. But ultimately, what should people be focused on as the first thing when they get started?
So the first thing is making sure that you're in compliance with the state that you're in and their state board of cosmetology. What has happened is, like in Pennsylvania, you have to have in-person inspections, you have to have a certain, space requirement. So making sure that one, you're in compliance in the space that you're in, what you can do, whether you could just rent your space or do you have to be an owner, do you have to have the salon license? But then getting your business stuff actually set up, and that would be your fictitious name search. How are you going to set up your business? Is it going to be an LLC, a sole or a sole proprietor? Then after that, you're going to have to upload those documents depending on the state board in the states, and upload those documents to apply for your salon license. And then whether it's an in-person inspection like it is here in PA, or if it's a self-inspection like in Virginia, that's what gets the doors open. And knowing the timeline, like here in Pennsylvania, when I first started, the turnaround time to get your salon inspected was like 8 weeks. It was crazy. And now it's literally like 2 or 3 days.
Wow. Well, that's a lot. It's a lot better for sure. But there's so many little details that are necessary. You're setting up a business. I think a lot of people take it for granted. They just say, oh, you know what, like I'm tired of working for somebody else. I want the flexibility. I want to do my own thing. I want to be my own boss. And it sounds sometimes glamorous. It sounds great, but there's a lot of detail. And now you have to recognize that you are a business owner and you need to go through all those steps of setting up your business and doing all the licenses and registrations and verifications, as you talked about. So there's a lot of details that people really need to prepare for to set themselves up for success. Okay, I'm going to back things up a little bit here because there's seemingly so many suite options nowadays, right? They tend to be popping up a little bit all over the place. If I was considering, getting my own suite in one of these facilities, what criteria should I be thinking about? What should I be considering in order to decide where I go? I mean, obviously, I'm going to want a location that's convenient for me, that is affordable from a rent standpoint. But what advice do you have around that I should be looking into to consider where I should go?
So suites make it a little bit different. When I was a cos and prof rep, it was funny when I saw a person leave a multi-chair salon to go to another multi-chair salon, they kind of stayed like pretty close to that current salon. When I see the salon suites, it's individuals looking to get closer to their home. And it kind of changed because they've developed the confidence that their clients are going to follow them no matter where they go. So from where you live, convenience, especially if you have small children and you have to be home at a certain time to get them off the bus, or any kind of like little nuances like that. But it's also the space, how big the space is. A lot of the traditional franchise models are pretty small. They're 10 by 10s. Here in Pennsylvania, when we were setting up ours, we had to do according to state boards. So ours are like 180 square feet, so almost double the size. So the size, what you're looking for, and as far as amenities, what you have to pay for, do you have to pay for laundry? What kind of support is available? And that's a big thing. What they have to offer you as a business owner. We see a lot of times beauty professionals really, and you touched on it a little while ago, the things that I mentioned about how setting up your business, your fictitious name, there's a lot more to it. There's your business bank account, knowing how to set up, some of your other things that are going to make you a successful business owner that people just don't have. So looking and going back to the property manager or the landlord and just saying, hey, listen, how are you going to help me grow my business, maintain my business, or am I just renting a space?
Yeah, I would say this cannot be overlooked, people. The importance of the support that you're going to receive from that sort of owner of the facility or the management of that facility, because there's too many people out there today that are just trying to make a quick buck. They're saying, oh, I'm just going to open some suites. Here's a building. I'm going to, renovate the building, put them into individual suites, and I'm just going to rent out the space. Here's the rent, and wipe my hands clean. You want somebody who actually, first of all, comes from the industry. I think that's super important, but that is actually going to have tools and resources to help you be successful in what you do. And we're going to spend a lot of time in this episode talking about what some of those principles are, because I know, Karen, that's one of the main things that you offer, for your members, right? Your suite, let's say, suite renters or suite owners in your buildings, those 115 locations. It's about the support and the tools and the resources that you provide. So what advice do you have? Again, I'm just getting started up, so I've picked my location. What should I be thinking about when it comes to things like product selection, booking systems, and pricing? What do I need to think about to get these set up properly?
So again, my background as a Cosmoprof rep and being a rep in the industry, I saw what a lot of people struggled with. So we were able to take, Allure Salon Group and actually, make sure that we checked all those boxes so that your transition from a multi-chair salon into your own suite was seamless and inexpensive. So your booking systems, we do have our own app that has the booking systems and your credit card processing that we make available. Some people don't use it, they are comfortable with another platform, and that's fine. You have to have a business bank account. Scott, there's so many people who we realized don't have business bank accounts. And, when you're doing your taxes and settling and, paying yourself or whatever, we learned, honestly, within the last couple of months, how many people were using their personal bank account to pay all their personal bills and run their business out of it. And because they don't have like money management skills, because that's not taught in beauty school or pretty much anywhere, that was pretty difficult. But some of the other things is making sure that you get a rep in there. As a rep, and I'm going to be a little bit biased, but most beauty professionals don't realize the benefits of having a rep. And yeah, there might be, shipping charges or, they're running to the store. But first, especially for your opening order, there's intro deals that every single manufacturers that have colors have available that are so much more inexpensive, and they kind of like get you out the door or hit the ground running. Some of the other things is, again, your appointment book. If you're not using, if the place that you're going into doesn't have their own platform, you want to be able to find a booking app that, sends out text messages, will run reports, some of the other nuances that you want to look for. But you also want to do your pricing list. You know what I mean? Like, how much are you going to charge? What are your hours? And that's probably one of the things that we see when people do transition. The salon suites are very good, the franchise models, at romanticizing this whole business prospect without telling like the true hardcore things that happen that you alluded to. And they get in over their head pretty quickly if they don't have the right skills or the right support to help them transition.
Makes sense. Should I be keeping the same pricing that I had when I was in my salon, or should I be adjusting that based on my new location and how much maybe other people are charging in the building in other suites? How should I be looking at pricing?
So pricing, typically people move in, and that's the one benefit of being in a suite. If you're coming out of a commission salon, you're generally making in a commission salon 40 to 50%. When you come into a salon suite, because your expenses are fixed, you only have one rent payment, you don't have utilities, you buy your products, and depending on what product lines you use, you want to be able to, it makes it more cost effective. So you want to be able to pick your brands and work in an efficient way that you're standing behind the chair. And your prices, you can come in and start with, the prices that you come out of the salon with. And it was funny because I as a sales rep, I would hear, when the salon owner would want to raise the prices overall for everybody, everybody would give like a really hard time to the owner. But like in the salon suites, we see it all the time where you have people going, oh, I have a price increase coming up. And like, they have no problem now because, going from being an employee to an owner, their whole vision and view has changed.
Yeah, absolutely. You have a completely different perspective of it all. And now, if you're being charged more for the products that you're purchasing, and if your, rent is going up, if your utilities are going up, then you have to increase your pricing accordingly. So things to definitely be aware of. Okay, so I found my space. I've got my products, I've got my opening order in, I've got my booking system. You definitely want to do some research to figure out, what are the features that are going to be important to you. There's so many systems out there, booking apps and whatnot. So take the time to really research what what features are going to be important for you. I've got my pricing set up, so I am ready for business. Now, I've got, of course, many of my previous clients, I believe, are going to follow me and continue to see me in my new space. But there's always a need, especially in the beginning, to bring in new clients, right? To fill my calendar. I'm not going to be fully booked right off the bat. That'd be rare. So let's talk about marketing, right? Because I actually communicate now that I have my own business. I got this new space. I've got my new, pricing list, my new products that I've selected, maybe a new way to book with me. What have you seen as best practices for new, solopreneurs from a marketing standpoint to help grow their clientele?
Number one thing, that you need a website. You need a one-page website so people could find you. And the other part is a Google business page. Those are the two main things. A lot of people we see, they come in thinking that their social media is what gets them new clients, and it doesn't. And you need a one-page website. You brand it towards, whatever, your look is going to be for your actual business. And it's just simple. Your bio, your picture, your hours, your services, a gallery of your work, how to book with you, and then your social media. Because what happens is, what we see and what we do in Allure Salon Group is we set up everybody's website for them, and then we set up their Google business page. Those two things are gold in this industry. And what happens is then the stylist or the beauty pro, they then encourage their people to actually leave reviews. That's what actually pushes you up. So when a person is looking for a stylist or, whatever your trade is, you actually go to the top of the search. And here's a perfect example for any one of your listeners. So we have two people actually. His name is Craig Winston, and he has, we call him CJ, but it's Craig Winston, a barbershop. If you go on Google, and it could be anywhere, and you go on Google and you Google search Trexlertown barbers, Craig comes up #1 in the search. And that's huge. And he listened to everything that we were telling him and providing, and he gets all of his new clients from there. They go to social media only to check to verify you. They don't technically go to social media. Social media is, they find you by happenstance, or that's where your referrals come in. Like they'll say, oh, check out this Instagram. And my business partner, he just called me before we got on this podcast, and he goes, we've been working with a girl that is right next to CJ in Trexlertown, and she does eyelashes. And she saw how CJ was getting all these clients, and she's like, what are you doing? And he goes, oh, I've been working with, Karen and David. And next thing you know, she called, reached out to us like, I need help. We set up our webpage. We got our Google business page. And, she's ranked #2 in Trexlertown for eyelash techs. So it works, and we see it, and we see that's where people are going to get their new clients from and maintain them. And when they see the reviews, and then they can check you out on social media because you connect everything to it, it works perfect. What we noticed was and this took a lot of time, like my business partner and I have, really dived into what the beauty professionals know and don't know. And what we were seeing is a lot of these other platforms, they have a review platform, but they don't register to Google. And unless you're on that platform, those are the only people who see those reviews. So a lot of people, with some of the other booking apps and the credit card processing, all of those great gold reviews are stuck in that people never see. So you have to have a Google business page, because that's where they're going to see you.
Great point. Those Google reviews cannot be overlooked. And I love that you preach the importance of having, at the very least, a one-page website with your own www address that has, all of your key information on there. You're still a business, right? And any business out there, it's just a starting point from a marketing standpoint. It's like a foundational piece is to have your own website. You don't want to be reliant on other platforms, right? Like Instagram, like Facebook, like wherever, that they can change in an instant, right? And it's, number one, it's hard to stand out in the first place because their templates is, the exact same for everybody. But they can be changing their algorithm. They can go out of business. I mean, people might have heard already. TikTok, there's a threat of it being banned in the U.S. Because of Chinese ownership and whatnot. And who knows what can happen to these things? Your website is yours. You control it 100%. Your image, the information that's there to put your best foot forward and make that first impression, because people are searching for things like, barber in this place, or hairstylist in this city, or nail tech in this city, regardless of whether they're going to find somebody who's working in a large salon or an independent suite. They're just looking for, someone to take care of their services. So you need to do that. I'm very proud that we at Salon S.O.S, we offer all these marketing services. So for anybody out there that does need, we have website services, not just for large salons, but also special packages for independents that are the absolute most affordable that you can find. If you're not doing it, yourself, and you need support, we're more than happy to share with you what we can set up in an extremely affordable way to help make sure that you have the proper visibility that you need. Okay, so I've gotten into the marketing. I'm getting my reviews going. I'm getting calls. I'm getting bookings. My book is growing, right? Obviously, I can't rest on my laurels. So talk to me a little bit about client retention. Why that's so important, and what I can be doing as an independent to achieve retention over time with my clientele.
So the same theory follows through when you're in a salon suite as it does in a multi-chair salon. And 80% of your clients are going to come from people, referrals in your chair. And you want to be able to keep the referrals, keep the reviews, and give, kudos to your people who send you the most. It was funny because I just had one of my personal friends, and she goes to a hairstylist, and she's like, do you know how many people I've referred to that person? And not so much as a thank you for all of the people that I've sent to her. And I was like, oh, wow, I didn't think of that. And she's like, yeah, she goes, I probably sent 20 people to this girl that I know go to them because they're like, oh, we go to your hairstylist or we go to your nail tech. So like doing some kind of like simple reward. Free is free. So if it's, a haircut or, however that plays into your business, you definitely want to be rewarding great behavior. And again, 80% of your people, come to you from the people that are referring to you. And then the other 20% are going to come from people who find you organically.
I love that. Reward the right behavior. So what's the behavior that you want, from people, and then make sure that they are being rewarded for it. So I think there's two really important ones. One, Karen, we were referring to is referrals, right?
Correct.
So you want to have a strong referral program in place. This is great because it's a way to help get new clients, but at the same time, it can be thanking and rewarding your existing clients for passing on the word. So you want to make sure that you have some kind of an incentive for both the new client and the client who made the referral.
Correct.
And that, the actual incentive is going to depend based on your pricing levels and whatnot. A common system out there is, $20 off for the new guest and $20 credit for the person making the referral. And maybe it's a percentage that you want to identify, but that's really, really an important part. The second thing that you can be rewarding is just general spending, right? Think about your clients. You have some clients that come to you and they get, full balayage and treatment, and they're coming to you regularly and spending a lot of money, versus other clients that might be coming in and just getting, a cut and a blow dry. And not that those clients are not important, but the value, right, of those big money spending clients is a lot higher. So why not have an actual points program that rewards people for their spending? We all know about points programs in every other business and every other industry out there, whether it's your Starbucks card, or in the beauty industry, whether it's Sephora, or you're purchasing products at some of the, big box stores like Ulta. you get points for your spending, and eventually you can redeem those points. So why not have a points program for your own business so that you can reward your customers for their increased spending? They'll earn more points, and they can use those points back in your business, maybe to get, discounts on products, things that you want them to try, new services, add-ons, all sorts of things that you can do. Again, we have a really powerful salon loyalty app that's been developed. Very, very popular. It's actually our most popular service that we do offer. It's been shown to grow retail sales by 15 to 20% with salons and independents that are using it. Highly encourage people to check that out if you want a points program for your business that can really help stimulate sales and at the same time retain those existing customers. All right, so we've talked about lots of things from a marketing standpoint, retention standpoint. Let's get into the money aspect, because you referenced that earlier, Karen, how people are often uncomfortable when it comes to money. You mentioned, the personal bank accounts and whatnot. So let's talk about finances and taxes. I know a lot of people are like, no, I don't want to talk about that. Let's talk more about, the fluffy stuff. What do I need to know as a solopreneur in order to properly manage my finances and stay on top of my business?
So what we recognized, again, with having, our own tenants and everything, taxes is huge. And that's one of probably the biggest hurdles when people are considering coming into a salon suite, because that's what stops them. It's not anything else. It's usually the taxes. So I developed what we call the Salon Suite Business Tracker. And what we do is we use it in two ways. We use it for people thinking about coming in so that they could see, what kind of money they would be making, but also for our tenants. And we show them how to track their business on a daily per customer. Then we show them how to transfer all of their daily work onto a weekly. And then once they're weekly, and it's pretty detailed. It shows like what you spent, if you bought anything extra that wasn't, salon related. So if it was like sundries and not color, like we dialed it down so that it was pretty detailed. And then you transfer it over to the month. And then after you transfer it over to the month, you then do the whole cycle over again for the next month. And then this whole little binder has everything for your accountant. You put your receipts in there. You have your accountants will love it. You'll have your receipts in there. They'll see all your sales. They'll be able to run the reports from, whatever booking app that you have, and then cross-reference it to your bank account. That's why it's so important to have your own bank account, so that you could just take that business bank account to your accountant and make sure that you're on track for your taxes. And then at the end of the year, it gives you two things. One, you're tax ready, but two, it shows you what you did in a month. And then you can go and dial back, because we have a little section there too, where it has notes where you could put down like, July, everybody knows that everybody's on vacation. Stylists are on vacation, families are on vacation. So you could say, oh, everybody, it's July, I was on a vacation. But maybe it was something in your business, maybe you had a baby, or maybe you had a medical emergency, or something like that, where you can gauge like what happened to your business and see it in real time. And this is just another tool that we provide with Allure to help our beauty professionals become the most successful solopreneurs.
Possible. It's really important. The numbers often sort of scares people, and they shy away from it, and they pass it off to somebody else to deal with.
Or they ignore it altogether.
Or they ignore it altogether. I really think it's important that people recognize, if you're going to be on your own, your business, it's a business. You have to start getting comfortable with it. You're not going to be, a finance major, and that's okay, but you have to get comfortable. So how do you get comfortable with something? Is you need to spend time in your uncomfortable zone. You have to push yourself a little bit, because the more time that you spend with things that are uncomfortable to you, the more comfortable they become. And then it becomes obvious. And things that you didn't know, 2 weeks ago and a month ago and 6 months ago, all of a sudden, what is natural for you when it comes to some of these numbers. One of my favorite people in the industry, salon business, coach and seminar teacher, Heather Bagby, always says, math is the one thing in life that will never lie to you. And numbers come down to math. And once you get it, right, it's it can be very straightforward because there's no way to misinterpret it. The numbers are the numbers. So if you want to figure out your daily goals and your weekly goals and your monthly goals, you can figure it all out if you start getting comfortable with those numbers. So definitely put yourself in a little bit of uncomfortable space in order to allow yourself to become more comfortable over time. I promise you that you all have the opportunity to do that. All right, Karen, it sounds like you have amazing resources in your Allure Salon Group for, members and solopreneurs that come and work in that space. And I think that's a really valuable. We talked about at the top in terms of choosing a space, it's important to understand the support and the resources that are available to you. Let's talk quickly to another target market that might be listening right now. These are, maybe other owners of salon suite buildings, or maybe they're salon owners who are considering opening up a suite model, a facility. Tell us some quick advice you have for them, and also how your coaching services work and potentially might be able to support them in their businesses.
Absolutely. So what we see is in this industry, when your tenants are successful, they're the best tenants and they stay forever. It gives you longevity. And that's what we recognize, pretty quickly in this industry. So if you are a current salon suite owner and you're having a lot of turnover in your facility, being able to plug in some of these things is going to be, so helpful, and you're going to see less of a turnover. Because again, what we noticed is when we have like tenants that, really start to complain or about stuff that has nothing to do with their business, it's usually a strong indication that they have a problem in their business. And what they do is they complain about the facility to justify themselves leaving. So if you can plug in those holes, and again, you can contact me and I can help you individually to plug in those holes and keep your facility full, but also stand out in a sea of competition. And then for people who are looking to get into this industry, if it's set up right, you honestly do not, need the franchise model. This is one of the business models where the heavy lifting of these facilities is in the front. You have to make sure that they're set up properly with your plumbing, your electrical, your HVAC, and that everything is, set up correctly. But after it's set up, why are you paying a royalty fee back for collecting rent? Because it's not like another franchise model where, if you had like a McDonald's or, a restaurant type franchise where they give you new recipes or a new napkin. In this business model, it's typically rent. And you had touched on it a little bit before. A lot of the people who get into this industry, they're not from the beauty industry. They are real estate guys, or they're, just people who thought this was a quick buck because it's sold as an absentee ownership business or semi-absentee ownership. And if you do, and it is, if you have successful people in your facilities and you're, put them on the right track, it is semi-absentee. But for the people who are looking to get into this, if you set it up the right way and you have the right resources in place, and that is more than, you're helping these individuals become successful, that's what's going to make your facility, whether it's, you're thinking about doing it or you currently have it now, these are simple things that you could plug into your facility to make your facility successful and your tenants successful.
Amazing. So necessary. Karen, I want to acknowledge you for kind of having the foresight to, look beyond just your own facilities, right? And then the suites that you sort of own and operate, and see that you have some skills, some knowledge that you can share with others in the industry to help others be more successful with their facilities in other geographic locations. I think it's wonderful when we take the opportunity to, to share our knowledge and have that service available to others so that we can all be more successful. So I want to acknowledge you for that. And I'm very grateful for you coming on the show today and sharing, all of your expertise, all of this great insights. I know that's very, very eye-opening for me, and I'm sure for many listeners, in terms of some things that really need to be taken into consideration, if going out on your own, again, either as an independent, or if you're going out to start a new suite business, there's a lot here. It's not just, a real estate game, as Karen, as you have so gracefully and graciously shared with us today. If anyone wants to reach out to connect with you, to get more information, maybe wants to find out about your coaching services, or just has some questions from the episode, what's the best way for them to reach you?
So you could go to my website, salonsuiteconsulting.com, and there's contact information there. You could see some of our articles, but if you want to take a look at how I run our my personal spaces, it's alluresalongroup.com, and it'll kind of give you a little different view on how we do it at Allure. Again, from being in the beauty industry, seeing how people, seeing what they needed to be successful. Being a solopreneur could be immensely profitable. I mean, we're talking six figures, multi six figures, and it is the best opportunity for people who, want to go off on their own, and they just need that little bit of help, because once they have these things in place, the sky's the limit.
Makes sense. And if someone wants to just reach out with a quick question, is there like a contact on the website, or is there an email or social media that you want them to send that to?
Absolutely. So we have Allure Salon Group on Instagram. We have Allure Salon Suite Consulting on Instagram also. Or you could we have contact pages, or my email is Karen@Allure Salon Suite Consulting, or my telephone number is 570-877-7150.
Amazing. We'll include this information in the show notes. Karen, again, thank you so much for taking the time to share with us today. Everybody out there listening knows at least one person who is a suite operator, a solopreneur. Do them a favor, share this episode with them, right? There's so many insights here that they can be learning from. Let's continue to share information so that everybody can be as successful as possible. Takes 2 seconds. We're just out here trying to put information, in your hands to help you live your best life and be successful as salon professionals. Appreciate you listening to today's episode. Share with us if you have any follow-up questions about being a solopreneur yourself or spaces, and we look forward to hearing all of your successes as this big shift in our industry continues. We want the best preparation for all of you out there. Thanks for listening, everyone. Have a great day and stay stylish. Thank you so much for listening to the Salon Scoop podcast. This show is produced by Salon S.O.S, a digital marketing agency by industry professionals for industry professionals. If you want simple and affordable solutions for any of your salon marketing needs, such as websites, client loyalty, Google search rankings, social media, or more, come visit us at salonsos.ca or on Instagram at salon.s.o.s. If you want to hear more episodes like this and help us continue to bring the industry great content, it would mean so much to us if you would support us in one of the following ways. Either share this episode with one other industry professional, and rate the show on Spotify, or write us a quick review on Apple Music. We want to hear your feedback. If you have follow-up questions or ideas for future episodes, please reach out. DM us on Instagram at salons.s.o.s, or hit us up on our website again at salonsos.ca. Again, thanks so much for listening. Now go get your hustle on, keep smiling, and we'll catch you on our next episode.